The year was 2157. Earth had changed much in the last century. Tall buildings reached toward the sky in every major city. Flying cars moved between them like busy insects. Humanity had spread beyond Earth, building homes on Mars and Europa. Scientific bases dotted the solar system, but Earth was still home to most people. 12 billion souls lived on the blue planet. Dr. Ellen Wright sat at her desk in the Atacama Deep Space Array. The facility stood in the driest desert on Earth. The clear air made it perfect for looking at the stars. Ellen was the best xenolinguist at the Global Space Initiative. Her job was to understand alien languages, if they ever found any. For 10 years, she had listened to the stars. For 10 years, she had heard nothing but empty static. Until today, the message came from the direction of Alpha Centauri. At first, it seemed like random noise, but Ellen noticed patterns. After 3 days without sleep, she finally understood. It was a language, complex, beautiful, and she could translate it. Hello, children of Earth. We are the Centaurian Collective. We come in peace and friendship. Ellen's hands shook as she called her boss. Within hours, the president knew. Within days, the whole world knew. Aliens had made contact, and they wanted to meet. Captain Daniel Moore watched the news from his office at the Earth Defense Fleet headquarters. Unlike most people, he did not celebrate. 20 years in space defense had taught him caution. He called a meeting with his top officers. I don't like it, he told them. It's too perfect, too friendly. We need to prepare for the worst. His second-in-command, Commander Frank Peterson, disagreed. The whole world is excited, Captain. If we raise concerns now, people will think we're paranoid. Daniel frowned. Maybe we should be paranoid. Nothing in space gives away its intentions this clearly. But the world wasn't listening to cautious. Military men. People danced in streets. Religious leaders claimed the aliens would bring new wisdom. Scientists dreamed of new technologies. The stock market soared as companies imagined trade with an advanced civilization. The Centaurians sent more messages. They described their society, a collection of 5 species who had found peace together. They shared simple scientific ideas as gifts, and they announced they would send representatives to Earth. Catherine Russell, the Secretary General of the United Nations, led the planning for first contact. A new spaceport was built on a platform in the Pacific Ocean. No nation's territory. It belonged to all Earth. Leaders from every major country would attend. Daniel Moore was ordered to provide security with his best ships. He positioned the USS Vigilant and 5 other vessels in orbit above the meeting site. He placed defensive systems around the platform. But he also prepared a backup plan. He secretly ordered 20 small military ships to hide on the far side of the moon. If I'm wrong, I'll accept the punishment, he told Frank. But if I'm right, we'll need survivors. The day of arrival came on a clear Tuesday in April. The sky was blue and peaceful. 3 Centaurian ships appeared near Jupiter and moved toward Earth. They were beautiful, like crystals that bent light around them. Earth's telescopes showed they carried no visible weapons. On the platform, Catherine Russell wore a simple white dress, chosen by cultural experts to represent peace. Beside her stood President William Davis of the North American Union, Premier Lin Wei of the Chinese Federation, and 30 other world leaders. A choir of children sang songs of welcome. Ellen Wright stood near the back of the platform. She had earned her place by translating the first message. She watched the sky with wonder and pride that the Centaurian ships stopped in low orbit. A smaller vessel detached from the largest ship and descended toward the platform. It made no sound. As it landed, the gathered humans held their breath. A door opened in the side of the craft. Light poured out, making it hard to see inside. In orbit, Daniel Moore watched on screens from the bridge of the USS Vigilant. His hands gripped the edge of his chair. Something felt wrong. The alien ship had positioned itself perfectly to be seen by Earth's broadcast cameras. Everything felt too theatrical. "Scan that ship again," he ordered. "Maximum detail." The science officer looked confused. "Sir, we've already scanned it 3 times. Do it again. Look for energy buildups." On the platform, a figure appeared in the doorway of the Centaurian ship. It was tall and slender, with 4 arms and smooth bluish skin. Its head had no visible eyes, just a series of ridges that pulsed with soft light. It raised its upper arms in what the humans hoped was a peaceful gesture. Catherine Russell stepped forward. "On behalf of humanity, I welcome you to Earth. We extend our hands in friendship and look forward to learning from each other." The alien made no response. It remained still, its head ridges pulsing faster. In orbit, the science officer called out, "Captain, I'm detecting a massive energy buildup in all 3 ships." Daniel didn't hesitate. "Red alert. All ships, evasive maneuvers. Get away from those alien vessels." He hit the emergency broadcast button. "Platform security. Evacuate immediately." This is not a drill. His warning came too late. On the platform, the alien lowered its arms. The ridges on its head glowed bright white. Ellen noticed something strange in that moment. The alien was releasing a scent. Her translator training had included studies of nonverbal communication. Some species used smells to convey emotion. This smell seemed ... wrong. Before she could process this thought, the alien ship erupted with light. A beam of energy, invisible, until it hit matter, swept across the platform. Where it touched, people simply disappeared, turned to atoms in an instant. Catherine Russell, the president, the premier, gone in seconds. Ellen froze in terror. The beam moved toward her. In her last moment, she realized the peaceful messages she had translated contained no emotional markers. The words said peace, but the aliens had never actually meant it. In orbit, Daniel watched in horror as the platform disintegrated. At the same moment, reports flooded in from around the world. The 3 Centaurian ships had launched smaller vessels. They were attacking major cities on every continent. New York is under attack. Beijing is being hit. We've lost contact with Moscow. London is reporting massive casualties. Daniel made the hardest decision of his life. All Earth defense. Vessels scatter throughout the solar system. Implement Protocol Omega. Earth has fallen. I repeat, Earth has fallen. The massacre had begun. By nightfall, 2 billion humans would be dead, and Earth would never be the same again. 5 years passed since the day that changed everything. Earth was not the same planet anymore. Cities that once stood proud were now piles of rubble. Forests burned. Oceans turned dark with ash. The Centaurians took what they wanted: metals, water, anything useful. They did not care about the humans who still lived. To them, humans were like ants after someone steps on the anthill. Dr. Ellen Wright had survived by pure luck. She had been standing at the very back of the platform. When the beam swept across, she fell backwards off the edge. The cold Pacific water saved her life. She swam until a fishing boat found her. Now she lived in Haven, the largest human settlement left on Earth. Haven existed inside a mountain in what was once called Colorado. Before the attack, it had been a military storage facility. Now 30,000 people called it home. They lived underground, away from Centaurian sensors. They grew food in special rooms with artificial light. They collected rainwater. They survived. Ellen walked through the main tunnel of Haven. People moved with purpose. No one smiled much anymore. Children, born after the attack, never knew a world with blue skies and open spaces. They only knew the tunnels and the fight to stay alive. Colonel Patricia Harris ran Haven with strict rules. She had been a logistics officer before the attack, managing supply chains. Now she managed humanity's largest fighting force. She had no real combat experience when she took command. She learned fast. "Dr. Wright," Patricia called from her office doorway. "We need to talk." Ellen entered the small room cut from solid rock. Maps covered the walls. A simple metal desk held stacks of papers and a computer. "We found something," Patricia said. "A Centaurian scout ship crashed near what used to be Denver. My team recovered this." She placed a small crystal on the desk. It glowed with a soft blue light. "It's a data storage device," Ellen said. "I've seen them before. Can you read it?" Ellen picked up the crystal. Maybe Jack might help. His team has been studying their technology. Jack Martinez had taught high school science before the attack. Now he led Haven's engineering team. He was brilliant at taking apart Centaurian technology and making it work for humans. His workshop was 3 levels down, filled with strange devices and the smell of hot metal. "Ellen," Jack smiled when she entered. His smile was rare these days. "What brings you to my cave of wonders?" Ellen showed him the crystal. His smile disappeared. "Where did you get this?" "Crashed scout ship. Patricia wants to know what's on it." Jack took the crystal carefully. "Give me a day, maybe 2. 2 days later, Ellen, Patricia, and Jack met in the command center. The crystal sat connected to human computers by wires Jack had made. "It's a map," Jack said. "It shows all Centaurian bases on Earth and the Moon. But that's not the important part." He typed commands. The screen showed strange symbols. "This is their communication log," Ellen said, reading the alien language. "They're planning to leave Earth in 6 months. They've taken what they came for." Patricia leaned forward. "They're leaving? Why?" Jack pointed to another section of symbols. "Because they found something better. A planet in the Tau Ceti system. More resources, no intelligent life to deal with." "So they'll just leave?" Patricia asked. "After everything they did?" Ellen kept reading. Her face grew pale. "No. Before they go, they plan to sterilize the planet. They'll kill everything left alive. Plants, animals, humans. They want Earth empty and dead." The room fell silent. Haven had survived for 5 years by hiding. But there would be no hiding from what was coming. "How many ships do they have in orbit?" Patricia finally asked. Jack showed her another screen. 5 large vessels. Their mothership and 4 harvester ships. Plus about 20 smaller craft that move between Earth and the ships. Patricia studied the images. "And our fleet?" Captain Daniel Moore's voice came from the doorway. 18 ships, Colonel. Small ones. Fast, but lightly armed." Daniel had aged much in 5 years. His hair turned gray. Deep lines marked his face. After giving the scatter order during the Aso attack, he had taken the USS Vigilant to hide in the asteroid belt. Slowly, he gathered the surviving Earthships. They made repairs. They studied Centaurian technology. They prepared. "Captain Moore," Patricia nodded. "Your timing is perfect. I got your message. Came as fast as I could." He looked at the screens. "So it's true. They're planning to finish what they started." "Yes," Ellen said. "In 6 months, they'll kill everything left on Earth." Daniel walked to the map. "And we have 6 months to stop them." "How?" Jack asked. "Their weapons are still better than anything we have. One of their ships could destroy our entire fleet." Ellen had been quiet, thinking. Maybe we don't need to destroy their ships. Maybe we just need to change their minds. Everyone looked at her. "What do you mean?" Patricia asked. I've been studying their language for 5 years. Not just their words, but how they think. The Centaurians are connected to each other. They share thoughts. It's like they have one mind spread across many bodies. Jack nodded slowly. That's why their technology is all connected too. Everything links back to the mothership. Exactly, Ellen said. And that might be their weakness. Over the next months, Ellen and Jack worked together. They studied the crystal. They tested ideas. They failed many times. But finally, they created something new, a bioweapon that would target Centaurian neural pathways. Once released in their mothership, it would spread through their connected minds. All Centaurians connected to. The network would die. Some people in Haven argued against using it. This will kill their entire species, said Sam Bennett, who had been a doctor before the attack. Are we becoming like them? Killers of worlds? Patricia called a meeting of all Haven's leaders. The debate lasted hours. Ellen explained how the keying weapon worked. Jack explained how they would deliver it. Sam argued for mercy. Patricia finally stood. The room fell silent. 5 years ago, they came here pretending to want peace. They killed billions without warning. They took our resources. Now they plan to kill everyone left before they leave. The massacre changed Earth forever. Mercy is no longer an option. No one argued after that. The plan was simple but dangerous. Daniel would lead a small team to the mothership. They would release the bioweapon into the central air system. Then they would try to escape. As Daniel prepared to leave Haven for his ship. Ellen stopped him. This is likely a one-way trip, she said. Daniel nodded. I know, but Earth needs this chance. Ellen handed him a small container. Inside was the bioweapon, a clear liquid that would turn to gas when exposed to air. Good luck, Captain, she said. Daniel took the container carefully. If we succeed, humanity will have a future. That's worth any price. He left Haven that night. The final battle for Earth was about to begin. Captain Daniel Moore stood on the bridge of the USS Vigilant. The ship looked different now. Human engineers had added parts from crashed Centaurian vessels. It was a mix of Earth and alien technology. Ugly, but effective. The other 17 ships in his small fleet were the same. All ships report ready, Captain, said Frank Peterson. He had stayed with Daniel through all 5 years. His face had a long scar now from a fight with a Centaurian scout. Good, Daniel said. Begin operation. Last hope. The plan was complex. They could not simply attack the mothership. It was too powerful. Instead, they would create a distraction. 10 ships would attack Centaurian mining operations around the world. The Centaurians would send their smaller craft to defend these sites. Meanwhile, Daniel would lead the other 8 ships toward the mothership. But even then, they could not fight directly. They needed to get inside. Jack Martinez had built special pods that looked like Centaurian supply containers. Daniel and 3 volunteers would hide inside these pods. The Vigilant would release the pods near the mothership, making them look like normal supply deliveries. Launch distraction teams, Daniel ordered. On screens around the bridge, they watched. As 10 ships left their hiding places, they moved toward targets across Earth. A mining operation in Africa. Another in Australia. A processing center in what was once Europe. The Centaurians responded quickly. Small fighter craft left the mothership, heading toward the attacks. The plan was working. Our turn, Daniel said. Move toward the mothership. Stay in the shadow of the moon until the last moment. The Vigilant and 7 other ships moved silently. They used a trick Jack had discovered. If they kept their engines at a certain power level, Centaurian sensors had trouble seeing them. Daniel left the bridge. He went to the launch bay, where 3 people waited by the pods. They wore suits made from Centaurian materials designed to hide their human life signs. Lisa Garcia was young, only 22. She had been just 17 when the attack happened. She lost her family in Los Angeles. She volunteered first for the mission, and Rogers was older, a former police officer. He had fought Centaurians on the ground many times. He knew how they moved, how they thought Olivia Chun was a pilot, the best in the fleet. If anyone could fly them out after they released the bioweapon, it was her. Everyone clear on the plan? Daniel asked. They nodded. No one smiled. This was likely a death mission, but they were ready. Captain, Lisa said quietly, I found something. In the data from the crystal. I think you should see it. She handed him a small screen. On it were Centaurian symbols. What am I looking at? Daniel asked. It's a message, Lisa said. From a group within the Centaurian collective. They call themselves the Descent. They tried to warn us before the attack. Daniel looked up sharply. What? They didn't all agree with attacking Earth. This group thought we should be contacted peacefully. For real, not as a trick. They tried to send warnings, but the main collective stopped them. Daniel read the screen. Ellen had taught them all. Some basic Centaurian language. He could make out words like wrong and peace and alternative. Does Colonel Harris know about this? Lisa shook her head. I just found it last night. I wasn't sure what to do. Daniel thought for a moment. Does this change anything? They still killed billions. They still plan to sterilize Earth. No, Lisa said. It doesn't change what we have to do. I just thought, you should know. They're not all the same. Daniel nodded slowly. Thank you, but we proceed as planned. They climbed into the pods. Each pod had just enough room for one person and a small air supply. Daniel held the container with the bioweapon carefully. In his other hand, he held a small pistol. It fired bullets made from melted Centaurian metal, one of Jack's better inventions. The pods launched from the Vigilant. They floated toward the mothership, looking like regular supply containers. Daniel could see nothing from inside his pod. He could only wait. A bump told him the pod had been picked up by the mothership's automatic systems. He felt movement, then a stop. The pod opened. He was in a large storage room. Containers of all sizes sat in neat rows. 2 Centaurians stood nearby, checking items off a list. They had not noticed his pod opening. Daniel moved silently. The suit hit his heat signature. He slipped behind a large container and waited. Across the room, he saw another pod open. Lisa emerged, moving like a shadow. Then another. Ben. And finally Olivia. They met behind the containers. We need to find the central air system, Daniel whispered. According to the maps, it's 3 levels up. They moved through the mothership. The Centaurians had few guards inside their own vessel. Why would they? No human had ever gotten this far before. They reached a maintenance shaft. It led upward, toward the central systems of the ship. One by one, they climbed. Daniel went last, the bioweapon secure in his pocket. On the 3rd level, they found what they were looking for. A huge room filled with machinery. This system circulated air throughout the mothership. Release the bioweapon here, and it would spread to every corner of the ship. Through the connected minds of the Centaurians, it would then spread to every Centaurian in the solar system. Set the charges, Daniel ordered. They had brought small explosives, not to destroy the ship, but to create confusion after they released the bioweapon. They needed time to escape. As Ben placed the last charge. A door opened. 3 Centaurians entered the room. They saw the humans immediately. One raised a weapon. Lisa fired first. Her Centaurian metal bullets hit the alien in the center of its body. It fell. The other 2 moved with surprising speed. One hit Ben, sending him flying across the room. The other turned toward Daniel. Daniel dropped to one knee and fired. Bullet hit the Centaurian in what passed for its head. It dropped. The last Centaurian grabbed Olivia. Its 4 arms wrapped around her. She struggled, but couldn't break free. Ben was back on his feet. He and Lisa both fired. The Centaurian fell, releasing Olivia. "More will come," Daniel said. "We need to move now." He took out the bioweapon container. It was simple to use. Just break the seal, and the liquid would turn to gas. He placed it near the main air intake. "Everyone, masks on," he ordered. They put on special masks Jack had made. They would filter out the bioweapon for 30 minutes. Enough time to escape if they were lucky. Daniel broke the seal. A clear liquid spilled out, instantly turning to an invisible gas. The ship's air system pulled it in. Within minutes, it would reach every part of the mothership. "Charges ready?" Daniel asked. Ben nodded. "Set them for 5 minutes. Let's move." Ben pressed a button. A countdown began. They ran back to the maintenance shaft. As they climbed down, alarms began to sound. The Centaurians knew something was wrong. 2. "The escape pods," Daniel ordered when they reached the storage level. "We have 4 minutes." They ran through corridors now filled with confused Centaurians. Some were already showing effects from the bioweapon. They moved slowly, their head ridges flashing strange patterns. The humans reached the escape pod bay just as the explosives went off. The ship shuddered. Lights flickered. In the confusion, they entered an escape pod. Olivia took the controls. "Hang on!" The pod blasted away from the mothership. Behind them, the great vessel began to drift. The bioweapon was working. Centaurians were dying all over the ship. "Contact the Vigilant," Daniel ordered. "Tell them we're coming home." As the pod sped away, Daniel looked back at the mothership. He felt no joy, no satisfaction. Just a hollow feeling. The massacre had changed Earth forever. But now, maybe, humanity would have a future again. The escape pod raced away from the mothership. Inside, Daniel and his team watched through the small window. The massive Centaurian vessel hung in space, its lights flickering. Small figures could be seen floating near the ship. Centaurians, trying to escape the bioweapon, now dead in the vacuum of space. "How long until the Vigilant can pick us up?" Daniel asked. Olivia checked the pod's simple communication system. 20 minutes, Captain. They're moving to intercept." Lisa sat quietly, staring at her hands. Ben checked their weapons, though there was no need now. The mission was over. The bioweapon was deployed. "It's working faster than we expected," Daniel said, looking at the mothership. "The Centaurians are already dying." "Good," Ben said. He had lost his wife and 2 sons in the initial attack. Lisa looked up. "What about the descent? The ones who opposed the attack on Earth?" Daniel had no answer for her. The bioweapon didn't discriminate. It would kill all Centaurians connected to their shared network. Good ones and bad ones alike. The pods. Communication system crackled. "Captain Moore, this is the Vigilant. We have you on sensors. Prepare for pickup." Daniel pressed the response button. "Copy that, Vigilant." "We're ready." The small pod shuddered as something hit it. Warning lights flashed. What was that? Ben asked. Olivia checked the systems. "We've been hit." Centaurian fighter, coming around. For another pass. Through the window, they saw a small Centaurian craft. It was different from the others they had seen. Sleeker, faster. Evasive maneuvers. Daniel ordered. Olivia worked the controls. The escape pod wasn't built for combat. It was slow and lightly armored. The Centaurian fighter hit them again. Air began to leak from the pod. "We're losing pressure," Ben reported. "And the engines are damaged." The fighter came around for a third pass. This time, Before it could fire, bright beams of light struck it. The fighter exploded into pieces. "The Vigilant," Daniel said with relief. The Earthship appeared, moving toward them. "They're here," Olivia said. "We're going to make it." The Vigilant extended a docking tube. The damaged escape pod attached. To it, Daniel and his team hurried aboard the Earthship. Frank Peterson met them at the airlock. "Captain, welcome back. The mission?" "Successful," Daniel confirmed. "The bioweapon is deployed. What's the situation?" Frank led them to the bridge. On screens around the room, they could see the effects of their mission. The Centaurian mothership was drifting, most of its lights now dark. The 4 harvester ships nearby were in similar condition. Across Earth, Centaurian mining operations had stopped. The bioweapon spread through their network, Frank explained. "Just as planned, it's affecting all Centaurians in the system." "And our distraction teams?" Daniel asked. "All ships accounted for. We lost 2 in the fighting, but most crews escaped in pods. We're picking them up now," Daniel nodded. "And Haven?" Colonel Harris reports all quiet. The Centaurians never discovered the base. For the first time in 5 years, Daniel allowed himself to feel hope. "Then we've done it. We've beaten them." Frank hesitated. "There's something else, Captain." "We're detecting a signal. It's coming from Jupiter orbit. Centaurian, but different. Different how? It doesn't match known Centaurian communication patterns. Dr. Wright is analyzing it now. She says it might be from this descent group Lisa mentioned." Daniel turned to Lisa. "You're sure about what you found?" "There really were Centaurians who opposed the attack." Lisa nodded. "The data was clear. They tried to warn us, but they were stopped by the main collective." Daniel made a decision. "Set course for Haven. We need to consult with Colonel Harris and Dr. Wright." The journey back to Earth took 6 hours. During that time, they watched as more Centaurian systems failed across the solar system. The bioweapon had worked perfectly. Perhaps too perfectly. At Haven, they were greeted as heroes. People lined the tunnels, cheering as Daniel and his team walked by. Children who had never known a world without Centaurians looked at them with hope in their eyes. Colonel Harris met them in the command center. Dr. Wright and Jack Martinez were already there, studying data on screens. "Captain Moore," Patricia said formally. "On behalf of what remains of humanity, thank you." Daniel nodded. "The mission succeeded, but we may have a complication." He explained about the signal from Jupiter. Ellen had been working on it while they traveled back. "It's definitely from the Descent faction," Ellen confirmed. "They're requesting communication." "Why would we talk to them?" Jack asked. "They're Centaurians. They're all dying anyway." "Not these," Ellen said. "The message explains that they broke away from the main network years ago. They created their own separate system. The bioweapon won't affect them." Patricia frowned. "How many?" "A small group. Maybe 100 individuals on one ship. They've been hiding in Jupiter orbit, watching us die," Ben said bitterly. "No," Lisa countered. "Watching both sides, learning. They say in their message that they tried to warn us before the attack." Daniel looked at Patricia. "What do you think, Colonel? Should we respond?" Patricia was quiet for a long moment. "We're soldiers. We did what we had to do to save humanity. But maybe now we need to think about what kind of humanity we're saving." The room fell silent. For 5 years, they had focused only on survival, on revenge. The idea of peace seemed foreign now, like a word from a language no one spoke anymore. "Open a channel," Patricia finally ordered. "Let's hear what they have to say." Ellen worked at the communication system. On the main screen, a Centaurian appeared. It looked like the others they had seen, but its head ridges pulsed with a gentler light. "I am speaker for the Descent," it said in perfect English. We wish to speak with the humans who survived. Daniel stepped forward. I am Captain Daniel Moore of Earth. Why should we listen to anything you have to say? Because we are the last. Of our kind, the speaker said. And you are few as well. Perhaps together we can find a way forward that does not end in more death. Your kind killed billions of us, Patricia said. Not our kind, the speaker corrected. Those who controlled the collective. We broke away because we disagreed with their methods. We believed peaceful contact was possible. Then why didn't you stop them? Ben demanded. We tried. We were too few. They silenced us. They removed us from the network. That is why we survived your bioweapon. Daniel looked at the alien carefully. Could they trust these words? After everything that had happened? What do you want from us? He asked. To share knowledge, the speaker said. To help you rebuild. And perhaps, in time, to find forgiveness. Daniel looked at Patricia, then at Ellen, Jack, and the others. The choice before them was clear. Continue on the path of hatred and vengeance, or try something new, something harder. We'll need time. To consider, Daniel said to the speaker. This isn't a decision I can make alone. We understand, the speaker replied. We will wait. As the screen went dark, Daniel turned to the others. Well, what do we do now? Ellen spoke first. 5 years ago, we lost everything because we trusted too easily. We can't make that mistake again. But we can't let fear rule us forever, Lisa added. Patricia looked around the room at the faces of Earth's defenders. The massacre changed. Earth forever. Mercy was no longer an option, then. But now? Now we have choices again. Daniel nodded slowly. Then let's make the right one. 1 year passed since the bioweapon ended the Centaurian threat. Earth was beginning to heal. Plants grew again in places where Centaurian mining had stopped. Animals returned to forests that had been silent. Humans came out of hiding and started to rebuild. Haven remained the center of human activity. But it was changing. People built homes on the surface now. They planted gardens in the mountain valley. Children played under the open sky. Daniel Moore stood on a hillside, watching the sunset. Construction teams worked below, building a new settlement. They called it New Denver, though it was far smaller than the city that once stood there. Beautiful, isn't it? Ellen Wright said, joining him on the hill. I never thought I'd see this. Again, Daniel nodded. Hard to believe how far we've come in a year. After long discussions, Patricia Harris had made a bold decision. Haven would open communication with the descent Centaurians, carefully, slowly, with many precautions. Trust was still a distant goal. The descent ship remained in Jupiter orbit. They sent knowledge, how to repair damaged Earth systems, how to clean radiation, how to grow food better. In return, humans shared their history, their cultures, their music. The speaker wants to meet in person, Ellen said. They've asked. Again, Daniel frowned. Patricia is still against it? Yes, but others think it might be time. Jack says we've learned enough about their biology now to protect ourselves. We could set up a meeting place on the moon. Neutral ground. Daniel looked at the setting sun. Orange and red painted the sky. 6 years ago, I watched the sunset with my wife and son in our backyard in Virginia. The next day, they were gone, along with everyone else I knew. Ellen was quiet. She knew his story. Everyone had similar stories. Can we really do this? Daniel asked. Work with any of them, after what happened? I don't know, Ellen admitted. But I've been talking with the speaker for months now. They're different. They genuinely seem to regret what happened. Regret doesn't bring back billions of people. No, it doesn't. They watched as the sun disappeared behind the mountains. Stars began to appear in the darkening sky. Patricia has called a council meeting tonight, Ellen said. "To vote on the meeting with the speaker. Will you come?" Daniel nodded. "I'll be there." The council room was the largest space in Haven. 50 people sat around a long table. They represented all major human settlements that had survived. Patricia sat at the head of the table. Daniel took his place near her. "We all know why we're here," Patricia began. "For a year, we've communicated with the Descent Centaurians. They've provided help. They've answered our questions. Now they want to meet face to face." Voices rose around the table. Some in favor, many against. We should never trust them. They're not the same group that attacked us. All Centaurians are the same. They've helped us rebuild. Patricia raised her hand for silence. "I've asked Dr. Wright to explain what we know about the Descent group." Ellen stood. "The Descent broke away from the main collective more than 20 Earth years ago. They disagreed with the policy of conquering other worlds. They believe in peaceful contact, sharing of knowledge. When the collective decided to attack Earth, the Descent tried to warn us. Their messages were blocked. They were cast out of the Centaurian network. Why should we believe this?" someone asked. "It could be another trick." "We've verified their story," Ellen said. Jack analyzed their ship systems. They're different from the collective ships, and we found fragments of their warning messages in old data. They really did try to help us." "Even if that's true," Ben Rogers said, "why work with them? We don't need them anymore. We defeated the collective." "We need them because we're still vulnerable," Jack Martinez replied. "Our population is small. Our technology is limited. If another alien species found us now, we might not survive. The Descent can help us advance faster." The debate continued. For hours, Daniel listened without speaking. His opinion would carry weight. As the hero who delivered the bioweapon, his words mattered. Finally, Patricia looked at him. "Captain War, you've been quiet. What do you think?" The room fell silent. All eyes turned to Daniel. He stood slowly. 6 years ago, I lost everything. I loved my family, my home, my world. For 5 years, I lived for one thing, to make the Centaurians pay for what they did. When we released the bioweapon, I felt nothing. No joy. No satisfaction. Just emptiness. He looked around the room. The massacre changed Earth forever. We said mercy was no longer an option. And maybe that was true then. We did what we had to do to survive. But now we have a choice. Daniel took a deep breath. The Descent are not the collective. They tried to help us. They're reaching out now. If we turn them away, what does that make us? If we choose hatred over hope, how are we different from those who attacked us? The room was silent. Daniel could see the struggle on each face. The same struggle he felt inside. "I lost my family to the Centaurians," he continued. "I can never forgive the collective for that. But the Descent? They might be our path forward. Not just to rebuild what we lost, but to build something better, something stronger." He looked at Patricia. "I vote yes. Meet with the speaker. On the moon with all possible safety measures. But meet them." More voices spoke. More votes were cast. In the end, the council was divided. But Patricia's vote broke the tie. "We will meet with the speaker," she announced. "In 1 month on the lunar base." 1 month later, Daniel stood in the airlock of the lunar base. With him were Patricia, Ellen, and Jack. On the other side of the airlock, the speaker and 2 other Descent Centaurians waited. "Are we ready?" Patricia asked. They nodded. Their suits were equipped with emergency measures, just in case. Trust was still new, still fragile. The door opened. The speaker stepped forward. Its head ridges pulsed with soft blue light. "Thank you for agreeing to meet," it said in English. This is a historic moment for both our peoples. Patricia nodded stiffly. We have a lot to discuss. Yes, the speaker agreed. The past cannot be changed, but the future is yet to be written. Daniel looked at the alien being, not so different from those who had destroyed his world, yet different in the ways that mattered most. Could they really find a way forward together? As they moved to the conference room, Daniel glanced out the window at Earth, hanging in the black sky. Beautiful, damaged, but alive, surviving, maybe, even beginning to thrive again. The massacre had changed Earth forever. Mercy had not been an option then, but now perhaps something new was possible. Not forgiveness. Not yet, maybe never. But understanding, cooperation, a future. For the first time in 6 years, Daniel allowed himself to truly hope. The road ahead would not be easy. The scars would never fully heal. But humanity had survived its darkest hour. And in surviving, perhaps they had found a way to become something stronger than they had been before. The future was waiting to be written. And for the first time, Daniel was ready to help write it.